In a small riverside town surrounded by rolling green hills, there lived a boy named Daniel. He was not the fastest runner, not the loudest speaker, and not the strongest child in his class. His shoes were often dusty, his notebooks worn at the edges, and his dreams bigger than anyone thought they should be. Daniel loved building things. While other children played games in the field, he collected scraps of wood, bent nails, broken wheels, and forgotten pieces of metal. He imagined machines that could fly, bridges that could stretch across rivers, and kites that could rise higher than birds. But whenever he showed his creations to others, they shook their heads. They said he was too small, too poor, too quiet, too ordinary. The words followed him like shadows. One afternoon, while walking home from school with heavy steps, Daniel noticed something struggling near the riverbank. A small brown puppy with one injured leg was trying to climb the muddy slope. Each attempt ended with the puppy slipping back down. The other children had already passed by. Daniel stopped. He carefully slid down the slope, ignoring the mud soaking into his clothes. He gently lifted the trembling puppy into his arms and carried him home. That evening, he cleaned the wound, wrapped the leg with cloth, and gave the puppy a place beside his bed. He named him Rusty. Rusty could not run like other dogs. He limped and stumbled, often falling. But each time he fell, he stood again. His tail wagged even when his steps were uneven. Daniel saw himself in Rusty. The next week at school, an announcement changed everything. The town would host a grand inventors fair. Children were invited to build something that could help the community. The winner would receive a scholarship to the City Science Academy. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to enter. He imagined building a wind-powered water pump for the farmers whose crops struggled during dry seasons. He could already see the blades turning in the wind. But when he shared his idea, the familiar looks returned: doubt, pity, dismissal. He was told that such things were too complicated, too ambitious, too impossible. That night, Daniel sat beside Rusty, staring at a pile of scrap wood behind his house. The words echoed in his mind like a storm. Rusty limped toward him, dragging his weak leg across the ground. He tried to jump onto a wooden crate, but slipped back down. He paused, then tried again, and again. On the fourth attempt, Rusty made it. His tail wagged like a flag of victory. Something shifted inside Daniel. The next morning, before sunrise painted the sky pink, Daniel began to work. He gathered broken bicycle parts, old fan blades, pipes discarded behind workshops, and pieces of tin from abandoned sheds. He sketched designs by candlelight. He tested small models by the river where the wind blew strongest. Many times the blades refused to spin. Many times the structure collapsed. Many times he wanted to quit. But every time he felt like stopping, Rusty hobbled beside him, sitting patiently in the dirt, watching. If Rusty could keep trying on 3 steady legs, Daniel could keep trying with 2 strong hands. Days passed. His fingers blistered. His arms ached. The townspeople whispered as they watched the crooked structure slowly rise in his yard. They said it would never work. On the morning of the fair, Daniel rolled his invention into the town square. Compared to the polished projects around him, his machine looked rough and uneven. Paint chipped at the edges. The blades were patched together with different shades of metal. Some children smirked. The wind was still that morning. Daniel's heart tightened. If the wind did not blow, his machine would not move. Hours passed. Judges walked around examining inventions that sparkled under the sun. Daniel waited, hands trembling. Rusty lay at his feet. Then, just as clouds drifted across the sky, a soft breeze swept through the square. It lifted skirts, rustled leaves, and brushed against Daniel's face. His blades twitched. One turn, then another. The wind grew stronger. The blades spun faster, pulling the pump into motion. Water began flowing from the connected pipe into a clear container. The steady stream glistened in the sunlight. The crowd grew quiet. The machine continued working, powered by nothing but air. Farmers stepped closer, eyes wide. They imagined their dry fields turning green again. They imagined crops surviving harsh seasons. Daniel did not shout. He did not boast. He simply watched the water flow. Rusty barked proudly, tail wagging like a small celebration. The judges studied the invention carefully. They saw not just scrap metal, but ingenuity. Not just patched wood, but determination. When the winner was announced, the town square held its breath. Daniel's name echoed across the hills. For a moment, he stood frozen. The boy who was told he could not. The boy who was told he should not. The boy who was told it was impossible. He had done it. The applause that followed felt different from the whispers he once heard. It was warm. It was bright. It was real. But the greatest victory was not the scholarship. It was the quiet understanding blooming inside his chest. He had believed when others did not. He had worked when others doubted. He had continued when others stopped. That evening, Daniel walked home with Rusty beside him. The sunset painted the sky in gold and orange, the same colors as hope. Rusty still limped. Daniel was still quiet, but neither of them were small anymore. Because courage is not loud, belief is not flashy, and greatness does not begin with talent. It begins the moment someone says, "You can't," and you decide to prove that you can. And in a small riverside town, whenever the wind blew and the pump began to spin, children remembered the story of the boy who refused to let doubt define him. They remembered that even broken things can build something beautiful. And somewhere nearby, a once injured puppy ran a little stronger each day. Just like the boy who grew stronger in spirit, the wind kept blowing, and so did hope.